around with some stuff
Yeah.
and see if we could do it.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. We'll dive right on in. Because we don't have anybody on right now, but that's cool because we're going to download this video and post it to our websites and YouTube.
Yeah.
So this will still be good information for people to get. So I guess
Yeah.
we'll just start off by introducing ourselves, our professions, a little bit about ourselves personally, background. Of course, ladies first. Let ladies go first.
Gee, thanks.
Hmm.
So my name is Isabel from Rise Up to College. It's my own business that I started. And I'm going to be here talking about college access and just, again, some of the first steps to do. Just a little bit about me. I was born and raised in New York. I've worked in higher ed for over a decade, which makes me sound a lot older than I am, but I'm not. And I started Rise Up to College because I was really feeling like there was more that could be done to help students not only get into college, but also help them through the entire process. Not just students, but families, as well as a lot more information could be given to high schools and after school programs and any other organizations that worked with college-bound students. Working with first-year students, I was always feeling like there was still stuff that they weren't knowing coming into college, and like that can really set you back, even just not knowing small things about the terminology or deadlines. And so I really just wanted to jump in and fill that gap for college-bound students.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And I'm Fred with Grind to Grad. I'm currently manager of college completion for Collegiate Academies, which is a charter school network in New Orleans, Louisiana. I graduated from the University of New Orleans in 2013 with my bachelor's in secondary education. Started as a ninth grade physical science teacher, and then eventually transitioned to this job that I have now. And I also got my master's in higher education administration from UNO in 2018. The reason why I started Grind to Grad was part of it was because of my own personal experience and also the work that I do now. So the very brief, short version of my story is that I went to UNO, started off on a full scholarship, lost that scholarship by the end of my sophomore year, changed majors at the end of my junior year, which put me behind. Eventually wasn't eligible to receive federal financial aid anymore, had to drop out of college, get a job, save up money to finish my last year of school. And so part of that experience, I know that the only thing that really got me through was the grace of God and not giving up, knowing that I don't know how long this is going to take. It took me 7 years, but I knew at some point I'm going to finish and I'm going to just keep going. Also, the work that I do now, I help students get into college. So I do help with the access side and what we'll talk about tonight, the enrollment process and everything that's involved with that. And I also help on the persistence side, which is keeping them in college and try to do everything we can to ensure that they graduate. And so throughout that, what I've noticed that the one underlying trend amongst all my students that are the most successful is not that they're necessarily the smartest students or the students with the highest GPAs or ACT scores. It's those students that just refuse to give up. They may run into an obstacle, but they just have something in them that pushes them to keep going and to just do whatever they need to do to stay in school. So part of why I started Grind to Grad was kind of share the information and content and expertise that I have and try to just develop content and form relationships with different organizations to just help spread that information and help motivate Black undergraduates to just keep going. Just don't give up and eventually you'll graduate. So that's my story.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. No problem.
Cool.
So one thing I wanted to make sure we did too, just for when we do post this, for any viewers that may not understand exactly what we mean when we say college
Yeah.
access or college persistence, to kind of break down those definitions. So can you kind of just explain what we mean when we're talking about college access and what that entails?
Yes. So when we talk about college access, it's literally what it means, which is the access that students have to getting into college. But typically when people are talking about it, is it usually in reference to excuse me, the barriers that they have for getting into
Mm-hmm.
college. So, for example, money is a big, and financial aid is a huge reason why people don't have access to college because they can't afford it. A lack of knowledge can also be another barrier. So when you talk about college access, a lot of times what people are talking about is the barriers that are in place for college. And so how do people like Fred, how do we help you overcome those barriers so that we can make
Mm-hmm.
it easier for you to get into college? Um, that's how I view it typically. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's pretty self-explanatory when you think of the term, and it's how do you make college accessible to as many students as possible. And to do that,
Yeah.
you have to think about how do you get rid of all those barriers that are in place, or as many of them as you can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's to just piggyback on what you said, a lot of those factors um, affect Black students way more
Mm-hmm.
than they do other races. And so for us, yes, a financial barrier, or for white students, a financial barrier might be something that, oh, a parent can just throw money at it and they'll be good, or either have connections, or even this
Mm-hmm.
might be a second or third generation student. Where the parents are so experienced or knowledgeable about the topic, like you said, where it's very easy to solve these. And so for Black students, this is just kind of blown up, and so you definitely need help with overcoming some of those things. I just
Or
wanted to
if
highlight
you're,
that.
yeah, or if you're Latino from another immigrant
Yes.
population, it could be things like your immigration status, which
Hmm.
is, DACA is a huge topic right now
Hmm.
for students. But even simple things as like having a language barrier there and trying
Hmm.
to help parents and families
Exactly.
overcome things like that. So those are other huge things, I think, just for not just Black students or any students
Exactly.
across the diaspora. I think those are other like big access issues too.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And just to shine a light on college persistence.
Excuse me.
So in that same vein, okay, you get access, you get accepted, you complete all of your enrollment steps or everything you need to do to actually be in a class on day one. You have to persist. You have to stay in school. So when I talk about persistence, it's about all of those things that are necessary, whether it be a mindset, a skill, or any kind of gap that any student needs to be a successful college student, and get to graduation. And so, like we just mentioned, things like social belonging and feeling like you are part of a campus, financial barriers, satisfactory academic progress, or sometimes it's referred to as SAP, just mental and emotional health. There are a bunch of different things that impact a student's ability to persist in college. So when we talk about college persistence, we talk about anything that you could think of that makes it difficult for a student to get to graduation.
Yeah. No.
Awesome.
Um, so let's start with some what steps do I need to complete after getting into college? So I would say my first recommendation, and I know it's going to sound super simple, but is make sure that you fill out and return your
Mhm.
acceptance letter. You have to actually confirm that you are accepted. And so this is, of course, after you received all your letters, you've just thought about what schools that you want to go to, and you said, this is the school that I want to go to. You have to actually let them know that you have accepted it and that they
Mhm.
should hold you a spot. It's not enough to just get the letter and say, this is where I'm going.
Mhm.
It seems super simple, but I have seen students miss out on opportunities because they did not actually let the school know, as crazy as it sounds, that they accepted their acceptance. So with college signing day coming up, you still certainly should have some time for some of your colleges to let them know where you're going, but just make sure whether it's actually returning them or they probably may have sent something to you via email to either confirm or deny your acceptance. You want to just make sure that you stick to those deadlines and you actually submit or confirm your acceptance to the school. Very basic and simple, but very
Mhm.
important to do.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So the next thing